The United Nations General Assembly witnessed dramatic scenes this week when dozens of diplomats walked out during Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's speech, an act that underscored just how divided the international community remains over Israel's policies and the broader Middle East conflict. The annual UN General Assembly often provides a global stage for world leaders to deliver powerful, sometimes controversial, speeches. But Netanyahu's address was met with an atmosphere of tension from the very start. The Israeli leader took the podium determined to defend his country's security policies, emphasize threats from regional adversaries, and highlight Israel's resilience on the international stage. However, as he began outlining his government's stance on the conflict with Palestinians and regional security concerns, the room began to shift. Delegates from several countries quietly stood up and filed out of the chamber, leaving behind rows of empty seats, a silent but potent protest. The walkout was more than a spontaneous gesture, it was a coordinated diplomatic move. For those who left, it was a clear rejection of Netanyahu's narrative and a condemnation of Israel's policies in Gaza and the occupied West Bank. Many of these countries argue that Israel's actions amount to violations of international law and human rights, particularly in relation to settlement expansion and military operations. The images of empty seats contrasted sharply with Netanyahu's fiery tone, creating a striking visual that quickly spread across global media platforms. For many observers, it was a reminder that Israel's policies are increasingly isolating it from sections of the international community. Despite the protest, Netanyahu pressed on with his address. He accused Israel's enemies of fueling instability in the Middle East and reiterated his country's right to defend itself against terrorism and external threats. He also called on the international community to take a firmer stand against Iran, which he described as the greatest threat to global security. For supporters, Netanyahu's determination in the face of protest demonstrated strength and clarity of vision. For critics, it reinforced the image of an uncompromising leader unwilling to reckon with global concern over Palestinian suffering. The walkout quickly sparked debate across diplomatic circles and the media. Supporters of Israel condemned the move as disrespectful, arguing that walking out undermines the spirit of dialogue and diplomacy that the UN represents. Critics of Israel hailed the protest as a bold stand against what they see as systemic injustice and human rights violations in Palestinian territories. On social media, the incident became a trending topic, with commentators divided between those who saw Netanyahu as a strong defender of his nation and those who viewed him as increasingly isolated on the world stage. The incident raises important questions about the role of the UN in resolving the Middle East conflict. If world leaders cannot remain in the same room to hear opposing perspectives, what chance does diplomacy have of bringing about lasting peace? Some analysts believe the walkout will embolden nations to take a firmer stance against Israel in future UN debates. Others argue it could push Netanyahu to double down on